welcome to another booktube video from me, Lauren, from Lauren and the Books. I hope you're all doing very well. Here on the 1st of November, David says I'm dressed like Melissa Joan Hart from Clarissa Explains It All today, and I think he might be right. The old 90s unheat treated hair, big oversized shirt, little tank top, and then these jeans which are very sort of like a 90s cut. There we go. Today is the 1st of November. What did you say to Halloween on the 1st of November, David?
Bye.
Pee off. We've had enough of Halloween now. It's the 1st of November.
It's our time.
It's our time. We're putting Christmas up this week. So yeah, here I am going to be talking about the books that I plan to read in the month of November. There's no sort of theme to these books, like in October I was reading spooky books, etc, etc. These are just books that I've just literally sat and pulled off my shelves, that I'm quite looking forward to. David's laughing because I said pulled off. That I'm quite looking forward to reading. So the first one I will say is that I'm going to start this today. And actually, David, I'm glad you're here because I needed to talk to you about it.
Oh, no.
So last year and the year before, I read the Christmas Chronicles by Nigel Slater. I own this book, but we can't find it anywhere at the moment. I thought, normally it's on my favourite shelf, so I don't know why it's not on there. I'm wondering if I put it away with the Christmas books. I've looked at some of my Christmas books, can't find it anywhere in there. There are going to be more Christmas books that I need to look at, so I do own this book. However, today, the 1st of November, this is a book which talks about sort of the run-up to Christmas and winter itself and preparations for, etc, etc. And it's done in sort of like diary installments. So the first entry is on the 1st of November, which is today. So I'm going to go, so I downloaded the audiobook in lieu of not having the book at the moment, and I want to listen to that. David, do you want to listen to that with me, or would you rather wait until I've got the book and then read it out?
I'll just listen sporadically.
As and when, so you don't want me to wait for you?
No, definitely not.
Oh, that's good, because I might listen to it in a little bit while I'm having a little potter around, maybe putting the washing out. This is my cat Minnie. Yeah, okay, so I'm going to be reading that, and then when that book actually appears, I imagine it's with deep in the Christmas stuff. We keep all of our Christmas decorations in a storage unit, and I imagine that's going to appear this week. I'll be reading that with the actual text, but I'm going to listen to the audiobook until then. So that's number one book. The next two books are book club books. So at the moment, again, I've got the physical book of this, but I'm actually listening to the audiobook of this. I'm listening to Fingersmith by Sarah Waters, which I need to have finished by a week yesterday, because this is my book club with my pals. By the way, that's a lovely light coming through my blind, and I'm just leaving it because it's enjoyable to sort of bask in it, as I was just doing there. So yeah, I hope it's not affecting you too much. It's not affecting me. I'm quite enjoying it. But it's nice to sort of, look at that, looks lovely. Yeah, so I'm listening to the audiobook of this, and it needs to be read by a week yesterday, because we're talking about this on Sunday. I'm into part 2. I've got to tell you guys, I am loving the audiobook of this, and I imagine I would have loved the reading of this as well. And the only thing that makes me feel sad when I'm reading this is that this means that once I finish reading this, I've only got one Sarah Waters book left that I haven't read, and that's Affinity. So I think once I've read this, I'm going to reread Tip in the Velvet, and then I'm going to go to Affinity. I was thinking about Sarah Waters and how she released The Paying Guests. I think it was in 2014. So Sarah, you're due another book out. Would you please get it sorted? Fingersmith is about a young girl called Susan who enters into a sort of scam with someone called Gentleman, who asks her to go and become a maid for a woman who is in the position of entering into a lot of money, and he wants to be able to marry this young girl, and he needs a sort of maid there to convince her to happen, for this scheme to happen. There's so much more to it than that. I don't want to say any more because I went into it not knowing any more, and something happened. I just couldn't even believe my ears when I was listening to it. So yeah, so I'm going to continue with this. As I said, I don't know how far through I am. The audiobook itself is like 23 hours. I've got about 15 hours left, so I need to have some hardcore listening. I'm off work this week, so I'm sure there'll be lots of opportunities for that. So that's book club number 1 book. Book club number 2 book is my Patreon book club. I'm so excited about this. We're reading Bridget Jones's Diary this month. Every month on my Patreon book club, And there'll be an announcement video going up for my Christmas Patreon book club this week, so keep your eyes peeled for it. There's a genre, and I asked the Patreons to vote, and the genre for November, because November is my birthday month, was Lauren's favourite books. And one book that was up for a vote was Queenie, and the other one was Bridget Jones's Diary, and Bridget Jones's Diary won by quite a significant amount. And Bridget Jones's Diary is a book that I love to read. I've read it I've probably reread it the most times in my life out of any book, and every time I've read it at a different age in my life, and I've started reading it, I reckon, probably when I was about 14 or 15, maybe the first time I read it. Does that actually work out sort of in terms of time though? Because when was this published? 96. How old was I in 96? Oh, I was 10, so yeah, definitely. So I think I started reading it when I was 14, first time I read it. And yeah, every time I read it, I get a little bit more from it. And I've read lots of different versions of it over the years, library versions, got a copy free with a magazine once. I've got the 20th anniversary. This is the 25th anniversary. And every time I get one, it's got a new sort of like introduction or bonus material, as has this. And I love this edition, naked hardback with all these shiny big pants on the front, and yeah, I love it. What I will say is this book, so it's about, I'm sure you all know, but there's also a film of it also. It's a diary entry book told by Bridget Jones, who is a single woman in her 20s, living in London and working in publishing, and her sort of love life and friendships and things like that. And I always just find it hilarious. It hasn't aged particularly well. And something I always get asked about, which I'll address here and I'll address probably in my wrap-up and in Patreon book club, is that how do I feel about Bridget's obsession with weight? And I guess the sort of answer I always give is that I used to be as obsessed with weight as Bridget is in this book. And I think as I've grown with my life and now don't care so much about weight, in my head, Bridget has also done the same sort of journey of that. So I imagine that Bridget now feels like I do about weight, in terms of not really caring that much and definitely not stressing yourself out about it as much. So yeah, there is some sort of like trigger warnings for like weight obsession in here, and she really is weight obsessed. But yeah, it's just so funny. Bridget Jones's mother is one of the funniest characters I've ever read. So yeah, we will be reading that as well. So those are the two book club books. Then as I said, I'm off this week. I've got a treat for myself. First of all, I've got the proof copy of the Twyford Code, which is the second book written by Janice Hallett. You may well remember that I read The Appeal earlier this year and loved it. I read it in like 2 days. It was a book told through letters and emails and minutes from parish council meetings and notes and things about a murder that had taken place, and all of this evidence is sort of coming out as you're discovering it with it. I thought it was amazing. It was so immersive. Really, really loved it, and was lucky enough to be sent the proof of the book that's coming out, Janice's new book, which is coming out in 2022. I don't know much about this. I'll read you the back. I'm investigating a mysterious case and I need your help. An iPhone 4 is among the number of items belonging to a missing person. It contains a series of audio files which we have recovered and deciphered. I send them to you in the strictest confidence. Call me when you've read to the end. So yeah, and it looks as though it's the same sort of thing in terms of you're finding out stuff as you go, and these are all audio files which have been dictated. So yeah, that will not take me long to read. And as I'm off this week, I wanted to film a video where I read a book in a day and sort of documented it. Was planning on doing it for this book, and then thought, well, actually, this book isn't out until January and I don't want to give any spoilers, and I've been lucky enough to be centre proof and I don't want to sort of bridge any confidentiality things, so I will be reading this week. But the book I'm going to do that with is Monsters by Emerald Fennell, which I was actually supposed to read last month. I filmed a video earlier this year talking about 5 books that I have on my shelves that I was absolutely certain would be 5-star books, and I gave myself a book a month to read on the run up to the end of the year, and this was the book I wanted to read in October from that list. Another book from there has been The Other Bennett Sister, which I did give 5 stars, and yeah, this was supposed to read in October because it's a bit spooky, but I didn't get around to it, so I thought I'll read it this week. I'll literally have a day. It's a YA book and the font's quite big and it doesn't take up all the pages, so I'm just going to sit and read this in a day and vlog the whole day. So that will be happening at some point this week, probably on Thursday. I think David's going into work on Thursday. And I've also promised David that I'll make him a lasagna. So I need to have it done in time to make a lasagna. So yeah, this is by Emerald Fennell. I picked it up because having loved Promising Young Woman, I love Emerald Fennell in Call the Midwife and The Crown, and yeah, and she also yeah, she directed Promising Young Woman, and I thought I would like to get some more of her writing in me. So yeah, it's a creepy story about two children you'd never want to meet. They're at the beach. It says the beach, the sea, a body, and then another, a girl, a boy, and a summer holiday unlike any other. So yeah, I'm going to read that all in one day and vlog that. So that was actually, while I'm talking about that, so that was one of the books that I thought I would give 5 stars and wanted to read by the end of the year. The last one that I had left, which I'd planned to read in November also, is this one, Sky Day by Leonie Ross. And I bought this earlier this year. I will read the blurb because every time I think about it, I forget the blurb of this, but I remember it's set on an island. Dawn breaks across the archipelago, lovely, of Propicio. The world is stirring awake again, each resident with their own list of things to do, a wedding feast to conjure and cook, a cheating husband to discover, a lost soul to set free. As the sun rises, 2 star-crossed lovers try to find their second chance at abiding love. When night falls, all have been given a gift and many are no longer the same. The sky is pink and some wonder if it will ever be blue again. Sounds amazing. So yeah, I knew there was something to do with like magical powers in here. So yeah, that's going to be amazing, and I want to read that by the end of the month as well. I might treat myself to reading that over my birthday. Definitely need to read it by the end of the month because December is Christmas Book Ahoy. And then I've also got this, which I borrowed off of my cousin. I was considering buying it for myself. I've been reading sort of like books that have made me feel very immersed. Janice Hallett's book being one of them. The Plain Bad Heroines being another. The Other Bennett Sister, also very immersive. And yeah, I was thinking about immersive books and thinking about this book that I'd heard about and knew that my cousin owned. When I was at my cousin's house, we were watching Strictly there a couple of weekends ago, and they were putting their babies to bed while we were waiting for Strictly to start. And I knew she had this book, Ship of Theseus. Ship of Theseus. Now, how would I even describe this? Because it says here it's by V.M. Stracker, but it's not. It's by J.J. Abrams and Doug Dorst. And this is a book unlike, and I think I've only ever seen this once on BookTube. There must be like, people must be obsessed with this, but this is the Ship of Theseus, which is sold to you. Now get this, it's a library book, but you're reading the library book, but also the whole thing is annotated by 2 people who are discussing a case about the owner. The author, and as well as like writing all of these notes all along, so as you're reading it, you're reading their notes, there's things inserted. So for example, and I can't take these things out because they belong in that page, so like here we've got a little postcard, there's other stuff. Earlier, because I was reading it as I was going, there was I'm sure there was like a napkin or something. But yes, there's lots of stuff to discover. I really want to find this napkin now, I've said about it. This is from the university. So yeah, it feels like it's going to be very, very immersive. And I was planning on buying it, and I knew it was quite expensive. Oh, something's crept out then. I knew it was quite expensive. And then Laura said, oh, just borrow it. So I've borrowed it from Laura. It's so, like, there's so much work gone into this. Like, all of these different pieces of paper feel different. Like, this actually feels like a letter that was written on letter paper, which feels different to this piece of paper, which is on different, like, so much work and everything must have gone into this. If you've read this, do let me know if it's worth the, well, I say the hype, but I've only ever seen it mentioned on BookTube once. And I think that was in a haul. I don't even think that was in a review. So yeah, it's called The Ship of Theseus, but yeah, I'm looking forward to reading that. But I did read about, I'll have to go back because it was about a month ago, but I read about 30 pages, didn't I, David, while we were waiting. But I think I'll go back to the beginning and start again. Yeah, well, you were just on your phone, David. I was just gonna do that. So yeah, that one as well. And then I've just got a selection of stuff. I've got a library book, and then I've got a few things that I've just pulled off my shelf. The library book, I've got to read this as well, because I don't know if you got your guys' library do this. I've never seen this before, but this is, I've got to have it back in 2 weeks. Normally you get 3 weeks for a book, but this is a popular one. So I've got to have it back in 2 weeks. So I'd like to read this week going into next week. This is Betty by Tiffany McDaniel. It's a coming-of-age story. It says, born in a bathtub in 1954 to a white mother and a Cherokee father, Betty inhabits a world of poverty and loss, of lush landscapes and blazing stars. Despite the hardships she encounters, Betty is resilient. Her curiosity about the natural world, her fierce love for her sisters, and her father's brilliant stories are kindling for the fire of her own imagination. And in the face of all to which she bears witness, the horrors of her family's past and present, Betty discovers an escape. She begins to write. So yeah, I need to get that read soon, and I'm excited to read that. And then, as I said, these are just 4 books off of my shelf that I've been excited to read. The 5 Wounds, I was sent this earlier this year. So all of these are ones I think I've been sent this year that I've said, oh my God, that sounds amazing, then never got round to them. So I would love the opportunity to read these before the year's out. The 5 Wounds by Christine Valdez Quaid. It says, it's Holy Week in the town of Las Pinas, New Mexico. An unemployed 33-year-old Amadeo Padilla is to play Jesus in the Good Friday procession. He is preparing feverishly for his role when his 15-year-old daughter, Angel, shows up pregnant on his doorstep. Oh yeah. The 5 Wounds spans the baby's first year as 5 generations of the Padilla family converge. Amadeo's mother, Yolanda, reeling from a recent discovery, Angel's mother, whom Angel isn't speaking to, and Tio Tive, keeper of the family's history. Each brings expectations that Amadeo, who often solves his problems with a beer in hand, doesn't think he can live up to. So this is a debut, but it's a family saga, sort of like, as I said, spanning 5 generations. So that sounds fantastic also. Then I've got the proof copy of Kololo Hill by Nima Shah. No front cover there. This is set in Uganda in 1972, and I read a novel set in Uganda earlier this year and knew I had this on my shelf. Oh my God, I cannot think what that novel was called. I thought it was going to be on the short. I actually thought this was going to be on the short list for the women's, for the long list for the women's prize as well. Anyway, off the back of reading that novel set in Uganda, that is going to absolutely bug me. I listened to the audio of it. It's about a young lad going over to Uganda. It's gone, guys. I mean, I've read 150 books this year, 154 I think this year so far, so sometimes the names escape me. But off the back of reading that, I wanted to read more about about Uganda, and also this is set in 1972, which that is covered in that book as well. That's really going to annoy me. I'm sure loads of you know which book I mean, and you're going to write it, if you could write it down there. A devastating decree is issued. All Ugandan Asians must leave the country in 90 days. They must take only what they can carry, give up money and never return. For Asher and Pran, married a matter of months, it means abandoning the family business that Pran has worked so hard to save. For his mother Jaya, it means saying goodbye to the house that has been her home for decades. But violence is escalating in Kampala and people are disappearing. Will they all make it to safety in Britain, and will they be given refuge if they do? I don't think I can pluck the name of that book. It's just not coming out. I've literally just been sat here racking my brains. I can't think. I remember it was published by Murky Press. Maybe Alexa will know. Alexa, what books have been published by Murky Books? Murky Books.
I don't see a book written by Murky Books in your library.
Published.
To find audiobooks.
Alexa, stop. Useless. It will come to me. I'll write it down below, or it will come to one of you lot by now, and you've probably just had a lovely time sitting there watching me trying to work this out. The last 2, Blackwater Sister by Zen Cho. This came out in June this year, and it is laid to rest but out for revenge. There is never a good time to start hearing a voice in your head, especially a bossy one. Broke, jobless, and having just graduated, Jessamine is reluctantly leaving her life in America to return home to Malaysia, a place she hasn't seen since childhood. Jess soon learns that the voice in her head belongs to Arma, her late grandmother. Arma worshipped a local Malaysian deity, the Blackwater Sister, but when a business tycoon offended the goddess, Arma swore revenge. Now she's decided that her granddaughter can help her with her mission, whether she wants to or not. Drawn into a world of ghost gods and her family shenanigans, Jess soon realises that getting a job will be the least of her worries. So yeah, I thought this sounded really interesting. I'm not a massive lover of magical realism, but this feels like, I mean, from the blurb, it sounds like the perfect amount for me. So yes, looking forward to that. And then lastly, and this, I couldn't decide between Monsters or this to sort of sit and read in one day. So I almost picked this, and that's Sugar by Bernice McFadden. This was sent to me by the publisher. Is it a re-release? Yeah, so it was originally written in 2000, and then they're bringing it out. I can't remember why they're bringing it out. It's because they've got I think there might be a film of it or a Netflix series or something of it coming out. Young and confident with a swagger in her step, Sugar arrives in the small southern town of Bigelow with the hopes of starting over, but soon Bigelow is alight with gossip and suspicion, and Sugar fears she can't hide from her past. Until that age, she meets Pearl, her next door neighbour. Over sweet potato pie, I'd like some of that now, an unlikely, unpredictable friendship begins, transforming both women's lives and the life of an entire town. So yeah, not much of a theme for this month in terms of reading, but all books that I am super pumped for. Let me know what you're planning on reading. I'm still trying to think of the name of that book. Let me know what you're planning on reading this month, or if you've read any of these books, and I will speak to you all again soon. I know there wasn't many videos out last week because I was so busy at work getting stuff sorted before I went on holiday, and then I was on holiday at the weekend. Only came back from holiday today and filming a video for you, imagine. But yeah, there'll be a few videos going up this week, and yeah, keep an eye out for the Christmas book club video, because I am excited about that. As are you, aren't you, David?
I am!
Ding dong merrily on high.